Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, I'm going to try and do this without losing my shit, but honestly, I'm not sure if I can. Before I get into this, let's lay out on the table what we already know. Star Wars is big. It's bigger than Harry Potter, it's bigger than Jurassic Park, it's a global institution. If you're not sure what I mean, go ask your grandmother who Darth Vader is. 5 to 1 says she can tell you all about him. Don't agree with me? After that, ask her who Neville Longbottom is and watch her stare at you like you have a dildo growing out of your forehead. Star Wars is old money. It's Dow, it's Nestle, it's Coca-Cola, Hulk Hogan. It's got its own day. Incidentally, that's how Groundhog Day started. No shit. When Star Wars first came out, it was groundbreaking. No one had ever seen anything like it before. Almost overnight, it was actually cool to stand in line and watch something that could normally be considered inherently nerdy. The success of the first film obviously led to a second one, The Empire Strikes Back. It becomes a box office smash, not only creating worldwide acclaim, but a merchandising blitz that would eventually become standard with any Star Wars film. Looking for a way to capture on the younger demographic, Return of the Jedi was released along with the Ewoks. After the windfall from Return of the Jedi, George Lucas decided to take a break, presumably to swim around in his money bin a la Scrooge McDuck. Flash forward about 20 years and these come out. In the interest of time, I'm going to lump them up together and say that if Star Wars is Coca-Cola, then these are Diet Pepsi blended with kale and onion. Yeah, that feels adequately disgusting. But no one seemed to notice since they were jonesing for some Star Wars something awful.
Man, I'll suck your dick.
Shoot ahead 20 more years and George Lucas descends from his solid gold planet that he bought with all the Star Wars merch money and decides to sell to the only company who loves swag more than he does, Disney. Now say what you want about Disney, they know their way around a storyline. Things tend to be cut and dry with Disney, and deep down, that's what you want your Star Wars to be like. You want it to be like how you've been imagining for all these years after reading those goofy books or the scenarios you played out with your action figures. I mean, what the fuck are midichlorians? I'm not gonna lose my shit. My therapist tells me that I really gotta stop overthinking Star Wars and really just attempt to be entertained by it. I'm giving that a go, but you know, who knows.
Baby steps?
So let's talk Solo, shall we? Just so you know, I place odds on these by evaluating the trailers, not the film. That being said, whoever cut this trailer got some skills. Based on this trailer, it looks like a high-octane jaunt through the galaxy with a dashing, gunslinging rogue that plays by his own rules.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What?
Not only that, there are some other factors here that are going to set this one apart. There's some generally likable names in this. Woody Harrelson has a job now. He could have made some effort on the voice. It sounds like he's from the planet of Pico and Sepulveda.
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I mean, even Forrest Whitaker brought an accent with him to Rogue One.
I can't believe it.
It looks a bit like he's the smuggler Han Solo models himself after, making him like a Solo 1.0. Much like General Grievous is a Darth Vader 1.0. Except even that Grievous had the foresight to talk in an accent.
Come with us. You're in this life for good.
Sounds like he's selling insurance. He's probably going to die saving them all, doing something noble after he betrayed them or something like that, which is something that Han Solo would end up doing. In the biz, they call that foreshadowing. In Star Wars, they call it a Tuesday. Even Money says he dies. Silver Bullet special right there. Donald Glover is playing Lando, also known as Troy from Community. I like this guy. I ain't messing around. Check out the chops this dude's got.
Take a look, it's in a book, reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow.
He wants to be a star. I see him winning an Oscar one day. Got 4 to 1 says he wins an Oscar. 50 to 1 says he wins a Nobel Peace Prize. Looks like they're giving that one out to just about anybody. Got about a 100% chance he does something dickish to Han Solo and ends the film without a ride home. Daenerys Targaryen appears to be the love interest. I know that's not a real name, but when would you ever not call her Daenerys Targaryen? She's probably gonna die too, cause you know. I'm opening that up at 5 to 1. I know that sounds a bit morbid, but you don't get to be Han Solo unless you go through some shit, and I figure losing your girlfriend might be one of those things.
Hey, my girlfriend's dead, you know. She fell off a cliff and died on impact.
Either that or option B, she breaks his heart and leaves him callous. Got 2 to 1 on that, it seems more plausible. Speaking of well-known actors, Alden Ehrenreich is not one of them. I thought they just shaved Rob Stark or something. His IMDb page reads like a masterclass heads-up deck. Like, you will never get it. This isn't a bad thing though. You don't want your lead actor to be bigger than the movie, which is something that this franchise does pretty well within their casting. They tend to let the more seasoned actors take on supporting roles and lead the lesser known character on their journey. My theory is if this movie sucks, it won't be because of Ehrenreich. They don't pick actors to be in artsy movies because they can't show any range. That's what Channing Tatum is for. Big studios pick the artsy movie guys because they know how to act, and those guys are tired of being in movies like Blue Jasmine and Twix. We're gonna get a lot out of this. The trailer alone lets us know how old Chewie is. Apparently there's a piloting academy. And we know that even in a galaxy far, far away, they didn't make him like they used to, because this droid would beat the shit out of C-3PO. And I got 8-1 says this scene ends something like this. Star Wars loves ball washing themselves by vaguely referencing some rando shit that happened in the past or in the future, or because it was in a galaxy far.
You have derailed. Shut up, Richard.
Either way, you know what I mean. They do that all the time. It's 8-1. I'm giving you that. Moving on, I'm going to set the over-under at this movie at $500 million. I know what you're thinking. I might as well say 500 trillion. But you know what? It's going to be over the first week. You say Star Wars, they say yes. That's how Star Wars works. People were deprived of legitimate new content for so long that a cult following turned into a cultural obsession. I recently read an article in a book that The Last Jedi was the least popular Star Wars film of all time. Yet you still went to watch it. Hell, so did I. That being said, you're going to see it. You just are. You got kids, you got to go see it. You're single, your date mentions it, you got to go see it. You're a kid who doesn't like Star Wars, your parents dress up like Wookiee Jedis, and then you got to go see it. You just saw it under duress. It is what it is sometimes. It's looking more and more like death, taxes, and Star Wars. And sometimes you gotta lay back and drink from the fire hose. This gravy train shows no signs of stopping. Solo will be no different. It is a seemingly built-in story of arguably the most popular character in Star Wars. This is gonna be hard to screw up. There are some in the biz who can do that, but I feel like they were not invited to this film. Moneyline odds says 3-1 says this film doesn't suck. If you're gonna be a negative Nelly about it, now's the time to throw your money away. Go ahead and shoot me the thumbs if you agree or if you just really like Star Wars. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. Either way, you made your bet. Good for you. Please gamble responsibly. Tune in next week when we beg the question, why are there so many Johnny English movies? And this guy's gonna die too. 12-1. Here's a little movie bookie trivia. If you could tell me where this is from.
I want a divorce.
Divorce. I knew we had something in common. Here, sign these.
First person to comment correctly gets Venmo'd $1.